Welcome to Presentation Skills. I am Dr. Solomon B. Anbichelvan, Associate Professor, Department of English from Erode Engineering College. What do you mean by a presentation? Everybody wants to give a presentation one and another way. Presentation is a technique or a method to communicate an idea, to share an opinion to a group of people. And we'll see what are the skills involved in presentation. Introduction. Management is the art of getting things done. A presentation is a fast and potentially effective method of getting things done through other people. In managing any project, presentations are used as a formal method, bringing people together to plan, monitor, and review its progress. So, everywhere in business parlance, presentations are being used. Presentations are a way of communicating ideas and information to a group. So that is what about presentation. Now at the end of the presentation skills, you'll come to know how to deliver dynamic, persuasive presentations that are concise and clear. So you can deliver dynamic presentation, you can do persuasively with a concise and clear frame. And you can build audience rapport through eye contact, vocal delivery, and body language. So prepare an effective presentation by organizing key points and apply innovative multimedia tools to enhance the presentation. You can capture and maintain audience interest and attention using interactive techniques. And I'm sure that at the end of the presentation, you'll come to know all these things. So why do we give presentation? What is presentation? As presentation is a technique or a method of communicating ideas and information to a group of people. It carries the speaker's personality better and allows interaction between all the participants. Most of the people attending presentation will ask, what is in it for me? Because whenever we are attending, anxiously we expect what is in it for me. Therefore, we love to continue to listen to the presentation. Therefore, presentation that has been designed keeping the needs of the audience in mind is most likely to have a powerful impact. So in order to create a powerful impact in the mind of the audience, always we should keep what is in it for me, that formula, while we are preparing a presentation. Now we'll move on to the elements of effective presentation. An effective presentation has a relevant subject matter. That's a primary thing. The subject matter of a presentation must be crisp and to the point. The presentation should not contain extraneous material. All the content included in a presentation must be of interest to the audience. So the relevant subject matter should be always focused. The idea should always revolve around the relevant subject. Second thing is organized arrangement of the relevant matter. A presentation must be arranged in a logical and systematic manner. An effective presentation has an opening, a body, and a closing. Its length must conform to the attention span of the audience. So based on the analysis of the audience, you can organize the content and you can arrange it as an opening, body, and a closing. Next is appearance. The overall look of a presentation is important. It must have a professional and aesthetic appeal. So it should appeal to the audience and it should have a professional look by the appearance. If you organize in such a way, it gives that appearance. Next is human component. So the presenter is an integral part of a presentation. See, presentation, subject matter, and organized content, arrangement, things are okay, but the presenter is the integral part of the presentation. A powerful presentation may look boring if a person presents it ineffectively. So it is in the hand of the presenter that makes the presentation whether it is powerful or not. So the presenter is a vital component of any presentation and must pay attention to certain key factors. So presenter should take care of certain things such as personal appearance, body language and facial expression, voice modulation and listening skill. We'll see that one by one. Personal appearance, body language and facial expressions of the presenter, voice modulation and listening skills. In the preceding slides you have learned how you can be effective as a presenter. Now that you know how to conduct yourself effectively at a presentation, let us take a look at how the content of the presentation can be prepared effectively. The following slides you will learn how to prepare it. So if you take a presentation, the presentation is divided into 4 parts. So the structure of the presentation, we are going to see that. The objective of the presentation, the medium of presentation, and the presentation tools. Under these 4 broad categories, we are going to do the presentation. The structure of a presentation. A presentation follows a logical structure, an effective opening, a body, a review, and conclusion, followed by the question answer session. So any presentation should start with the opening and a body and a small review about what you have already presented and your conclusion, which will be followed by the question answer session. So the opening of the presentation. So it is really important. The opening triggers, motivates either to listen or not to listen the presentation. The opening is probably the most important part of the presentation. It is when you establish a rapport with the audience. It's a key factor in determining whether the audience will listen to the rest of your presentation or not. So a powerful opening will make the audience sit up and take notice of you and your presentation. Keep in mind that our opening should jolt the audience and break their preoccupation, facilitate networking, audience participation and involvement, and be relevant to the presentation and state what the presentation is going to deal with. So here are some of the possible openings for presentations. Whenever we start a presentation, straight away we cannot start with the content. So in the opening part, you can tell a story, a joke, an anecdote, refer to an occasion or a situation that you had faced already. Offer a genuine tribute to someone who did something. Begin with a catching quotation. And based on the content of your presentation, you can use a quotation. Make a significant statement or ask a challenging question. Make a promise of what the listeners will achieve at the end of the presentation. Refer to a comment made by the previous speaker. It's all based on keen listening. So where you are, what are you doing at the time, and you can understand the environment, and based on that you can open your presentation. Better always narrate a story or a small joke and start your presentation. Now, after the opening, the body of the presentation. Here you will include all the information you wish to state on your chosen topic. Since the body is the largest part of your presentation, and you need to make sure that you have researched your topic thoroughly and that all the statements are consistent, coherent, and placed in a logical sequence. So we all know that the body of the content, that is the subject matter, relevant matter, the content, everything which you want to share with the audience, it has to be thoroughly verified and researched, and you can add up things in such a way that it can create the impact, and you can maintain the coherence, and you can place it in the logical sequence so that the audience can follow you very easily, and you can continue your presentation, and you can bring the audience to your line, either to convince or to motivate or to agree with your presentation. The body of the presentation should contain the main points first, followed by any supplementary points that support the main points. The body of the presentation may elicit new ideas or creative alternatives from the audience. If the information in the body of your presentation is very and intense, then intersperse it with relevant anecdotes, visuals, or discussions with the audience. This is the best way to ensure that you hold audience attention throughout your presentation. So people used to say that a picture can speak more than 1,000 words. So based on the information, based on the type of presentation, you can use visual aids and you can use diagrams in your presentation. That is the best way you can keep your audience alive. There are several methods for structuring the body of the presentation. So you can structure your presentation based on timeline. Facts are arranged in sequential order according to the time when they occurred, a century, decade, year, month, an hour. Like that's a timeline. It's like a narration. And another thing is climax. The main point is built upon through a series of smaller points, as in a film, or a problem solution. A problem is stated, a solution is suggested for. So in that way also you can arrange the body of your presentation. Simple to complex. The main points are delivered in increasing order of their complexity or relevance. Usually from known to unknown, people used to say that. If you want to share any new things, and from known to unknown, you need to make them. That means from simple to complex things. You can make the listener to come along with you in the presentation. And these are the methods you can adapt. There are a number other methods also there to present the body of your presentation. Review. Opening, body, and the review. This is a recap that sums up the main ideas enunciated in the presentation. Some presenters like to perform a review at the end of every important concept, while the others prefer to do the review at the end of the presentation. So the review can be performed by the presenter or the audience, which can be asked to list the ideas suggested in the presentation. So based on the presenter's mood or the presentation content, and we may give the review for after the important points, or you may give your review at the end of your presentation, the conclusion of the presentation. Some presenters may succeed in making a powerful presentation, but they tend to trail off towards the end. diluting the impact of their presentation. So opening is fine, and the body and review did everything well, but when in the conclusion, they may not know how to conclude it. The presentation should end with a punch that leaves a lasting impact on the audience. Here are a few effective ways to close a presentation. Use an apt quotation. Summarize the total presentation in few words. Present a call to action. You can ask to conclude your presentation. The question and answer session. A good presentation is generally followed by a question and answer session. Most people ask questions after genuine interest, and the presenter must be able to answer them effectively. Here are a few factors that should be kept in mind concerning the question and answer session. So, whenever the question is asked, pause after inviting questions from the audience. Allow them sufficient time to gather their thoughts and frame their questions in their minds. When a question is asked, repeat the question to make sure that the rest of the audience has heard it. So you might have heard, but entire audience may not be aware of the question. So you can repeat the question to make sure that the rest of the audience has heard it. Listen to the question carefully. Pay attention to the content, information requested, and then the intent, emotions of the questioner behind the question. So that you need to be a keen listener. In case any clarification is needed, do not hesitate to ask the questioner. The question answer session. Pass together thoughts before answering the question. Try to relate the answer to the main issues raised during the presentation. Keep the answer brief and yet complete. Don't give an elaborate answer. Always keep the answer brief and try to complete it. While answering the question, direct the answer to the entire audience and not just to the questioner. This is really important. When the question is asked, don't answer only to the person who asked question to you. You can start to answer the question to the person, and you can share the answer with the entire audience from right to left and left to right. So that is the way that we need to answer the question and to take care of the question answer session. Be honest. If you don't know the answer to the question, state that you will get back to the questioner later with the answer. Make sure that you do so. Really important. Sometimes out of our curiosity, we want to answer all the questions. If you really don't know an answer, and you can inform, you can admit that you don't know, but you need to get the answer and you need to share that to the person who asked you the question. If an issue is raised concerning some point in your presentation, deal with it politely and tactfully. Never argue with the questioner, as this will be alienate the audience. So you can include the audience always in the presentation. Any serious concern, tactically you have to answer others' question. Now we'll move on to the second part, objectives of a presentation. A presentation may be given for various reasons. What is the objective of a presentation? Is to provide information, a teaching a skill, a reporting progress, or selling a product, service, or a strategy, or obtaining a decision, or solving a problem. Look at that. These are the objectives, some general objectives. Providing an information, teaching some skill, reporting a project progress, selling a product, service, a strategy to someone, or obtaining a decision. In order to obtain decision, you share your presentation and solving a problem. Medium of presentation. There are various media through which you can make presentation. You can select the medium that suits you best based on your convenience, expertise, budget, and suitability of the medium of your presentation. Here are various mediums through which you can make presentation. Overhead projector, slide projector, film projector, presentation software, worldwide web post presentations on audio recordings and video recordings, paper, yes, whichever suits you the best, whichever demands the presentation, use it and you can give your presentation. Presentation tools. Presentation itself is a tool or a method. Now, presentation tools are various aids that add value to your presentation and enhance its effectiveness. Presentation tools can increase understanding and add authenticity, credibility, and variety to the presentation, thus enhancing its overall impact. There are various presentation tools, and the presenter can select those that are appropriate to the presentation. Handouts. It is a normal presentation tool. Normally, people use the presentation tool. Are useful when the subject of the present is complicated, made up of a lot of statistics and information. Handouts are useful to remind the audience of the subject of your presentation even after it is over. If you decide to use handouts, you can consider putting the following information in your handout: a biographical outline of the presenter, copies of the visual used during the presentation, a checklist of the main ideas covered, a glossary of technical terms used, graphs and charts representing statistical idea, data, flowcharts, case studies, discussion and evaluation forms, reprints of relevant articles, a page of action points. And second tool is a visual aid. Visual aids are powerful tools. Their use during a presentation can prove highly desirable, as research has proven that it is possible to learn much more at a given period of time when visual aids are properly used. They can be divided into two categories: visual aids, projected and non-projected visual aids. Projected visual aids includes films, videotapes, slides, film strips, computer graph, opaque projections, and overhead transparencies. Non-projected visual aids include pictures, posters, flip charts, funnel graphs, models, object lessons, simulators, tangible artifacts, maps, audio tabs, bulletin boards, chalkboards, and marker boards. See that? These are the visual aids. We combinedly use both projected and non-projected. Based on the presentation, you can select project the visual aids or non-projected visual aids. And thank you for listening to me.